of knowledge we spin all day, talking spiders every week they don't play. From the tarantula to the tiny mite, 8 legs of wisdom bringing truth to light. On the spider sense they break down the fear, creepy crawly legends are getting clear. For the love of science spreading wide, uniting communities in arachnid pride. We tune in, listen up, let it right, feel the fascination flip overnight. Spider wisdom flowing through the airwaves, building bridges with the facts it pays.
Hi everyone, welcome to the 8th episode of the Spider Sense podcast. I'm your host, Jen, my co-host, Arachnid Cat, and our guest today, Rob, at Rob is Creeping It Real. How are you guys today?
Partying.
Partying.
Yeah.
You guys excited for this episode? I am. I love these group episodes.
Yeah, right? They're one of the best because you have that interaction, that interchange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love when there's a lot of conversation. But okay, so for today's topic, we're going to be talking about misconceptions and myths about reptile and arachnid keeping. So we're going to start off with Arachnid Cat taking the floor with some questions. And Rob, we're just going to be asking you some questions today. If you want to ask us some questions, feel free to, okay?
Gotcha.
Sounds good.
Let's get this party started. So, Rob, we love you. We know that you worked at Nerd and all the stuff that you've done in the past and present till now. We love your work over at Reptile Talk with Jeremy, and you have the most biggest insights. And because you worked at Nerd, you're also like us, nerdy, and we love it. So, what's one of the biggest positive things that ever came from working at Nerd?
I got connected with people all over the world. It's really wild. At a place like that, it draws people from all over the place. So for the majority of the time that I was there, I was in charge of doing the tours. So if you scheduled a tour to come check out the facility, usually it was me giving the tour. And then every weekend, every Saturday and Sunday at I think it was 3 or 4, maybe 3 p.m., we would do an hour-long public tour. So anyone who showed up with $10 could come hold some reticulated pythons, check out some water monitors. I would do, talk about the different animals that we work with there. And, I had people come from Europe, from the Philippines, from all over the world to come check out the animals there. And so it was a huge opportunity to meet people from literally all over the world. So that was one of the really cool things that I took away from working there.
That's awesome. And you worked with a lot of people, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was probably maybe 15 employees or so, somewhere around there.
Rob, can I ask you, what is Nerd for those that aren't watching? Or
Yes,
that are watching but don't know?
Might not know. Yeah. Nerd used to be really, really huge, back in the day. And when I was growing up, I had a poster of their stuff on the wall, and they had big ads in Reptiles magazine. But since that stuff is doesn't exist anymore, it's if you're not big on social media or you're not putting out stuff all the time, it's easy to get overtaken by all the other stuff that's going on. But Nerd is New England Reptile Distributors. It's owned by Kevin McCurley, and he is primarily a morph python breeder, but he also works with a lot of other things as well. He is the founder of the spider ball python gene, the golden child reticulated python gene, the orange ghost stripe reticulated python gene, the cow reticulated python, hidden gene Woma ball python, etc., etc., etc. So he has brought a lot to the hobby, and he's always been a diehard reptile fan. And so he opened up New England Reptile a long time ago, and it's grown and grown and grown and grown. And now he has this big giant facility. It's got, hundreds of species there and so many different cool things to check out. So there's a retail pet store, so you can go there if you live in the area and you just want to pick up crickets or feeders or check out what they got going on. They also have the upstairs portion of the facility, which is the breeding facility. So that's where most of the adult reticulated pythons are going to be. I think they still have some venomous upstairs, but primarily now their venomous stuff has moved downstairs into a separate sectioned off room. And then they've got like water monitors and this, that, and all the other things. But so they also, outside of the facility, they've got goats and chickens and big koi pond and all sorts of stuff to check out. So, and during the summertime, they got Wally, their alligator, out there, and then usually the rhino iguanas and a couple sulcata tortoises and stuff like that. So there's lots of cool stuff to check out there.
That's so cool. Is it like a sanctuary?
Kind of, yeah. They do take in a lot of stuff. It's primarily a breeding facility, but like because it's so well known, people drop off stuff there all the time. Like in the year 2020, I was there from 2016 until 2021. In the year 2019, we had over 1,000 animals surrendered to us, like reptiles.
Wow.
So, people who couldn't take care of their leopard gecko anymore, or they had some ball pythons that they didn't, they're moving across the country. Or we had a bunch of people who like moved out of the country and they're like, I can't bring my snakes with me, so I gotta drop them off here. And so yeah, in I think it's 2019, we took in over 1,000 reptiles from people who couldn't take care of them anymore.
That's awesome. I mean, good for you guys for being able to like be available like that to the community, and for the animals too.
Yeah, because like at least if it comes to us, we know that they're going to get taken care of, and then we're going to find a new home for them, and so they will, we'll make sure that they're good and healthy, and then set them up for somebody else who does want to take care of them.
It's awesome.
And when you were there, did your tarantula hobby fascination start from there, or where did it start from?
Oh no, I've had tarantulas my entire life. My mom had pet tarantulas before I was born. So like when I was a little kid, like 2-3 years old, just barely learning to walk, when she was like cleaning the enclosure, she would like put them on her shoulders and they would like walk all over us. We primarily had avicularia, the pink toe tarantulas, but we also had Brachypelma species and eventually Acanthoscuria, like the geniculata, and Nanduchromatus and Poecilotheria, and tarantulas has been my thing long before snakes, like way before I knew what snakes were. I was into spiders, and so like my whole arm is all spider tattoos, and so like I've been into spiders my whole life. And when I went to Nerd, my collection of spiders got bigger than I typically would have it. Like when I lived at home in Massachusetts when I grew up, I had a couple spiders here and there, and then when I got to like 19 or 20 years old, I got a bunch of them. So I had like up to, I don't know, 40 or 50 tarantulas. And then I moved to Maine, and tarantulas are illegal in Maine, or they were at the time. And so I had to sell or, rehome all of the tarantulas that I had. I couldn't take any of them with me up to Maine. And I was working with the state legislatures to try to change the laws so that I could keep them. And I applied for permits, and I was going to these meetings and talking to legislatures and doing all this different stuff. And they were like, oh yeah, just send in permits. I sent in my application for permits and they still denied me. So it was kind of like a real shit show. And so I got rid of all my tarantulas when I was in Maine. And then as soon as I moved to New Hampshire, that's it, I'm getting tarantulas again. And I got like, I don't know, 100 tarantulas or something. I had a lot of tarantulas when I lived at Nerd. So that's when my collection like exploded to the biggest that it's been. And then when I moved to North Carolina, I rehomed most of my tarantulas because I could tell a landlord, hey, I got 100 snakes, or I can tell them I got 100 spiders. I can't tell them I have both and hope to get a place to live. So I was just like, I'll just take like a couple and then eventually I'll get some more. And so I have like, I don't know, probably 20 tarantulas now, but not as many as I used to have, but just picking up a little thing here and there and that stuff. So I've been into tarantulas my whole life, but my collection was the largest when I was at Nerd.
Wow. So no,
go ahead. Okay, I'll go. So why did Maine ban tarantulas? Like, are they legal now?
3 species are legal now. Grammostola pulchripes, the Chaco goldney, the man, what the hell's the name of it?
What's it look like?
They're all brown. Like most, I hate to say that, but like the Brazilian black, that one's legal. I can't remember because there's Igua whatever.
Yeah.
But the old name Pulchra, Brachypelma pulchra, right? Or Grammostola pulchra. And then there's one other one that's legal too. Man, man, I cannot think of what the other species is. They legalized 3 of them like 8 years ago, and then I've been trying to work with some of the guys who are on the board to get them to make a whole genre, like a whole genus legal. Like there's no reason any Brachypelma should be illegal in Maine. There's no reason any Avicularia, if they're worried about like public safety, okay, medically significant stuff, whatever. But honestly, that's stupid because they're legal everywhere else. So it doesn't really make sense for them to be legal and illegal in Maine. What happened in Maine was for a long time, they had a just kind of like a free for all. You could have whatever you want. And then there was some guy, or this is how I understand that things went. There was a guy who was buying lots of venomous snakes, like potentially medically significant venomous snakes.
Right.
And he kept getting caught by the state, with illegal stuff that he shouldn't have had.
Right.
And there was also a pet store that was like doing some kind of shady stuff with not like venomous snakes, but like anacondas and big reticulated pythons and stuff like that. And so all of that came to a head when the guy who had the venomous snakes, who kept getting busted, he had a gaboon viper die at his house, and he bagged it up and brought it to like the local theater and like threw the trash in the theater's dumpster, and then some animal picked it out of the dumpster, and some bystander saw a big dead gaboon viper in the parking lot, and that got like big headlines, and the state was like, oh, people have got all these illegal things, we're only going to make certain things legal as our state biologist dictates. And the state biologist is like, nothing, you can have nothing. not nothing, but like they're like, okay, what do you get at like Petco? You can have some of those things, but not all of them. And so for a long, like when I moved to Maine in 2016, oh no, not 2016, 2012 or 2013, the geckos that I had were illegal. Like the bento geckos that I have, I just posted one on Instagram last night. Those were illegal. And like my tiger rat snakes were illegal because they weren't on the white list. They weren't on the allowed species list. And so it was just like, it was like that for a long time. And then when I was up there, I was president of the Maine Herpetological Society for a bit, and I was going up to the meetings at the State House with the representatives, or not, maybe not the State House, at the they have like a wildlife commission area. And so we would go to those meetings and speak to the people who were in charge of making the rules and try to get them to change and talk about why these things should be legal. And they were like, we actually want to go species by species, and we're going to charge you $20 for every species that we have to investigate to see if it's safe to live in Maine. And it was a big pain in the butt. I honestly wanted to push for more things than we were able to get legalized. But a lot of times political crap just takes time. And so they were able to get tarantulas legalized, I think, while I was up there, but since then it hasn't really changed that much. But I just got a message the other day from one of my friends who was working with the state that they're submitting another addendum or another change request so that more species of tarantula will be legal up there.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good to know though too. I was just curious on like why they got banned in the first place, because we're always preaching like one bad bite report could ruin our hobby in that way. Like, none of us could be keeping. We all have to have permits. Yeah. But for sure, and we even got the U.S. ARC released some information today about New Palestine, Indiana, and they're trying to ban like all exotic pets from there too. And just because a snake escaped. We don't even know what kind. It could have been just like some harmless, non-venomous snake. But like, oh, geez, Lord, they got loose.
Yeah. Politicians are dumb. Yeah. And they're in charge of the rules. So that's usually what ends up happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Rob, you go out herping, and I love your videos. But when you go out herping, have you observed any different behavior when you see spiders in the wild versus in your care?
So most of the spiders that I see in the wild, at least around here, are true spiders. And so I don't really keep true spiders. I used to have some Holconia insignis, which is like the Australian bark huntsman, I think is the common name. They're like a big huntsman species. And then I had Viridaceus fasciatus, which is like the black and white I know they call them huntsmen, but they're not huntsmen. They're
Yeah.
like, but
They
they're
just,
really freaking fast. They're cool.
mhm.
The Beetlejuice spider or whatever the hell they call
Yeah.
them. And I had those, but true spiders never really. Not that they didn't interest me, but I've always been more drawn to tarantulas than true spiders. So I've got way more experience working with and dealing with tarantulas than I do true spiders. And there's no tarantulas where I live. I have gone to Utah and gone herping out there and in Arizona and seen tarantulas out there. Well, I saw them in Utah, not in Arizona. And those are really cool. And I handled a bunch of wild tarantulas when I was out herping out there, which was neat. It was very interesting. I was not really expecting to see them because, I don't know. It's like I don't think about going out. I was looking for snakes, and then all of a sudden we're flashlighting at nighttime on a hillside, and I'm like, "Oh, look, a little tarantula! This is so cool!" And so I'm
Yeah.
picking it up and
Ding.
talking
Bingo.
to the people I was with, and the people who I was with do not like spiders. Or not that they don't like them, but they're a little bit hesitant around them,
Yeah.
And so I got a couple of them to hold them and check them out, and then there was a couple of the sulfuge, the camel spiders, like little
Uh-huh.
guys.
Oh wow.
And I went to go try and corral one of those to pick them up, and they pinched the shit out of me, man. They like it was
Yeah.
not having it. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna pick you up. That's fair. I don't need to pick up everything. So that was interesting because I've never kept those, and I was just like, oh, I don't know. Let's see if I can pick it up. And no, I couldn't pick it up. Did not work. But I've handled lots of other spiders, like true spiders and stuff in the wild. But a lot of times they're in webs or like, cruising around doing their thing. And so I feel bad like pulling them out of where they're at. So I watch them. When I was a kid, we would leave the back porch light on at nighttime and we would get some of those big orb weavers. Not like the kind you get in the southern United States, but like
Yeah.
Araneus species, the like
Yeah.
chunky ones.
Mhm.
And they would set up shop in my back porch, like on my back porch near the light. And me and my mom, what we would do is we would leave the light off at the back. So like none of the moths would come to it at the beginning of nighttime. And we would turn the light on at the front. And what we would do is we'd go down once the moths start coming, catch the moths at the front, go over to the back, turn the light on and throw the moth in the web so we can watch them, wrap them up and eat
That's
them.
so
So me and my
cool.
mom used to do that when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
That's what me and my brother used to do all the time. Yeah, we used to feed all the squatters around our apartment complex. And I've also
Hell yeah.
had the chance to go herping out in the wild here in Colorado where I live. They have
Ooh.
Aphonopelma hensi, the Texas brown.
Yeah.
And I've been able, that was like the first time I ever held a tarantula, and I can't
Really?
wait to go this year. Yeah, well, because I've been always scared. Like I have like 30 tarantulas, but I did not want to hold one by myself for the first time because I knew I was super jittery. I knew like I'm super jumpy. There's a chance I could like fling it. So I had my friend Liz help me, and she just, she found this little stray male and then, let it crawl on her arm, and I was like, give it to me. Just like let it climb on me, and it was awesome. There's
That's so cool.
definitely nothing better than finding some spiders in the wild for sure.
Yeah. And it's so
Yeah.
liberating when you have that fear and then you're just like, I'm not ready. But then like you get it to climb on you and then you just like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Like it's just so liberating when you finally get that moment that it's right on your hand and it's fine. Love it.
Yeah, and it's not going to be like in the movies where the spider's going to just like automatically bite down and inject you with venom.
Right.
Like I was just watching Spider-Man, like the series with like the 2000s one, because like I love Tobey Maguire, and like how the spider comes down and just automatically bites him.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's so not true.
Yeah, it's pretty weird because like, I don't post stuff like that anymore, but like for a while, like I was going out and like picking up black widows and stuff, and they are never wanting to bite. Like it's very rare that you would get a spider that actually wants to bite you. Like I've seen some videos of, like tarantulas. Honestly, it's usually more tarantulas than true spiders that are like, oh, it's just chilling there, and all of a sudden it's just giving you a little test with its fangs to see what the heck's going on here. But true spiders, not so much. And I've handled so many different things. I used to handle way more, like a lot of the tarantulas I used to handle them all the time. Not all the time, but like when I'm doing rehouses, I would just like try and get them on my hand just so I could like check them out, take a couple pictures, and then pop them back in and stuff. And so I've handled so many different species, and they're so hesitant to bite. Even some of the like more jumpy ones, if you are not like scaring them, they're not as inclined to bite.
Right.
And I used to do educational programs like at Nerd and then before Nerd too. Like all growing up, I did educational programs, and I used to get people like I'm really good at getting people over their fear of spiders. And seeing someone hold their first tarantula is like such a cool experience because most
Yeah.
of the time they're like, oh wow, this is actually the coolest thing I've ever touched in my life. Why is it so
Yeah.
soft? This is like
Yep.
softer than every kitten I have ever pet in my life. What is going on right now? Everything, my whole life was a lie. And I'm like, yes, yes. Bad media campaigns are lying to you. Tarantulas are cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
They do be lying about them.
You know.
That's how I felt when I held my first tarantula. I was like, oh, this is not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, he's so cute. He's just a little feetsies. He's just climbing up you. Now I'm always taking like the opportunity. If they seem okay with me trying to handle them, I'll like handle my tarantulas. But I do have to be careful because mine are pretty moody for the most part. You know, not all of them are going to tolerate it, but
yeah. Yeah, I have an affinity for the stuff that is evil, so I try not to hold things anymore. Like every now and again I'll like some of the Poecilotheria, if they're like just moving around quick, I'll just like stick a hand out, see if I can get them to like chill. Because a lot of times once they find like a little crevice, they're just like
yeah.
just chill out. And I just love the Poecilotheria so much. So sometimes I'll give them, but it depends on the species. Some of those guys are too nutty.
Yeah, I've had my male on my hand too. My male pokey, he's still skittish. He still runs around, but you know, like they are so much more shyer than like you would think that they would be. Like you would think they would like he used to slap at me when he was a baby, but like now he just like straight up runs away. And it's like, you know, I just walk into the room, he senses me, and he's like, "Bye,
Bye, Felicia."
bye."
P
Felicia.
Metallica are the worst about that. And like
Which
they're
one?
horrible. The Metallica, the Goody
Oh yeah,
Sapphires,
I
they're
don't have
horrible.
that one yet.
They're cool and everything, but like they are the most shy Poecilotheria that I've kept. So like if you are out for the day, they might come out. But the second that you turn a light on or like you walk in the room, they immediately go hide. Whereas like Regalis, they don't give a shit. They're like they're out all the time. Like at least for me, the ones that I kept are always like, I don't give a shit. And then like some of the other species like Ornata are less shy. So Fusca are like in the middle kind of. But the Metallica, they're so cool. They're so pretty. You want to get a chance to look at them, but the second that a light turns on, they're like, nope, I'm out of here. And I'm like, God damn it, you're so pretty. Just let me look at you for a minute.
That's weird because Pino, my P Metallica, he's a sling, or he or she, I don't know yet. Always out, light on. He's out, or it's out all the time, which is really weird because
That's cool.
P Metallica and P Vitata and Regalis are so hidden, like they're so skittish.
Yeah,
they're all out always.
That's cool.
Weird.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
my male sometimes hangs out. I think you know, when he gets used to my footsteps, he's good, but for the most part, he just runs. He's a scaredy cat. That's what I tell people tarantulas are, is just like cats, you know? They're not even dogs because they don't run around like dogs, but I mean, they can, I guess.
Yeah.
Have you had one teleport on you yet?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I just had my male pokey teleport on me the other day because, you know, I'm getting ready to breed my pokies again because I've that's like my first breeding project is my Poecilotherias. It just happened to be that way. My male matured out and I got him a female. And so I've been warming them up, but I wanted to check on him because I hadn't seen him in a while. And I was like, are you okay in there? And I like poked him out of the cork just thinking he was going to come up around on the other side. No, he just took off in my room and he like crawled up on the wall. And I was just like, please stay there. Just stay there. And he did. But I was, you know, they do move fast and they're so weird looking when they run. They're just like, but I used to get creeped out by like the sound of the feet. All of that pitter patter would freak me out. Just like, ugh. But now I'm used to it.
Yeah.
You definitely get over your fears of them after a while.
Yeah. I find it so interesting that some people are like afraid of spiders and then they end up keeping them. Like, for me, like I was always into spiders. And so I'm like, I can't think of something that I'm like afraid of that I would like turn around and then be like, yeah, I need like this. Like, I'm afraid of dogs. And so when I see somebody who's walking like a big dog, I'm like, keep that thing the frick away from me. Don't come over here with that. And I can't imagine like turning around and be like, you know what? To get over my fear of giant dogs that can crunch my arm in half, I'm going to go get one because that sounds awful to me. But I can't tell you how many people I've met who are like, oh yeah, I have a bunch of tarantulas. And I started out really terrified of tarantulas. I'm like, how? Why? What? I don't understand.
I think it's mostly just like they want to get over the fear.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's
just,
easier when they're in a container, right?
Yeah, it is.
Hi, Jason.
Way less scarier. Hi, Jason.
Greetings.
He's my patron. He's a really nice guy.
Oh yeah. So do you guys have like a favorite species?
Oh,
I do.
what's your favorite cat wall, I think?
Either that you keep or that you just want.
Okay, so keep, I need to have these two in my collection at all times. It's the Gramstola pokera, the Brazilian black lab, Acantha geniculata, which I have 5 of, and the Ceratogyrus genus. I want all 9 of them. Yeah, that's the horn, all the different horns. Must have.
I really want. I don't have this one yet. It's the Aphobobus marinus, the skeleton leg tarantula, and which was funny because last time I went to a reptile show, my good friend Josh at Awa Arachnids had one, and I was like, I want it so bad. I was like, just give it to me. But, that and my Salmopaeus herminia. I love my tiger. She's so creepy looking, but at the same time, like, she's always surprising me. She's so beautiful, and only I know her like I know her. You know what I mean? Like, you just have those tarantulas that, like, you know, you could be like, yeah, that's my Salmopaeus, but like they walk in the room and they run away because they like sense the different footsteps, or like, you know, you're like, oh, let me just show you. You know, like, get the flashlight out, but she runs away. You know, so it's like I only really get to see her.
Okay, those are cool species. I have a big female E. marinus, a skeleton leg. I got a really big. She's like huge, and she bred for me when I was in New Hampshire, so that was 4 years ago or something. And I got a tattoo of a skeleton leg right there.
That's cool. I need to get some tarantula tattoos. That's like my next thing before I get another animal. Like, I need some tarantula tattoos so bad.
Yeah. I really wanted to get it on my hand, like coming out with the legs coming out of the hole, like on the top of my hand. But my tattoo artist was like, I don't know if you want to do that, man. And I was like, I do want to do it though. So we settled and he put it on my wrist. So it's cool. It's good enough.
The hand hurts really bad.
Yeah.
I haven't done
either. So
I don't do tattoos, but if I were to get a tattoo, it would be of a face hugger. Like, or right on my back, or like going up my leg, or something. Like, oh, I love that face hugger, man.
Those are cool.
Yeah.
So, Kat, did you want me to start asking some questions?
Yep.
Or did you have some more?
Take it away.
Okay, let me pull my questions up, you guys. I had to send them to myself on Facebook because like Instagram doesn't like allow you to like copy and paste so much. And so I'm
that's your skeleton leg?
Yeah, she was out the other day, so I got a really good picture of her.
Oh,
that's an awesome picture. I know, Jason, I need to get one. I need to get one so bad.
They're really cool.
Oh my gosh, I literally am like gonna start drooling.
While you look for that, I'm gonna answer Mask Bandit's question. Have you guys kept the emerald skeleton tarantula? Is the same genus? Yes. So Rob, yeah, he has.
No, I haven't. I don't think I've kept those ones. I've kept the
the emerald.
The man, what the hell is it? The pink fang, Ephebopus.
The blue fang.
Blue fang. That's what it is. Yeah, that one.
Cyanogathus.
Yes. Cyanogathus. Yeah. Those ones. I kept those. Those things are cool as hell, man. I missed that. That was a cool spider.
I have a molt, so I'm gonna ask this question, and then I'm gonna find that molt in this little pouch because I have like one with like, if nobody's seen one before, I have the molt. But some like arachnid keeping myths, or that arachnids are dangerous and will always bite?
Mm. So I've never been bit by a tarantula. I'm not gonna lie.
Me
I've,
neither.
I've I've never been bit by a tarantula in my life, and I've been keeping tarantulas my entire life. So I'm 36 years old. I started, whenever I was young enough to handle them, that's when I started feeding them with my mom and all that sort of stuff. So 30 something years of keeping tarantulas, and I've never been bit by a tarantula. And I've handled a lot of stuff that you're not supposed to hold. So
Yeah.
I would say that is a myth. Not every tarantula is going to bite. And also, there's ways to mitigate getting bit. There's lots of ways to safely keep and work with tarantulas in a way that they never come in contact with your skin. And honestly, I think that that's better for the spider if you keep them that way. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's not all spiders want to bite, and it's very easy to avoid getting bit. Honestly, when I hear people getting bit by tarantulas, most of the time I'm like, "Oh, you're being dumb."
Yep.
That's basically what it comes down to. Oh, hell
Ooh.
yeah.
There you guys
Hmm.
go. Sorry, I'm so weird in the camera. I feel like my mom every time I look in a camera. Hello. Sorry,
Do the
mom.
boomer
I didn't mean to
answer
make fun
like
of you, mom. I love you. But look at these blue fangs. That's what
yeah,
that
Wow.
is. You can
the
really see them.
original electric blue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So pretty. And
I
it's
love
like
it.
popping. Like it's very
I
you can
know. It's
Yeah.
very vibrant.
yeah.
And when they're babies, their legs are like neon pink. It's so freaking cool. They're just like
Like that.
such. So, and I haven't seen those for sale in a hot minute. Like every time I go to Expo, I like look around to see what unusual species people got, and they've got
Yeah.
the emerald skeleton legs, but I always keep an eye out for those the blue fangs. And I'm like, oh
Yeah, they're
man, the
so nice.
Cycognathus. Those things are so freaking cool.
I don't always see mine out because mine's still a sling, but when it comes out, I'm like, oh, look at
Yeah,
you. I can't wait for you
yeah,
to get bigger.
yeah. The ones that I had, I never saw them. It was kind of a bummer because I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, it's so cool. But like once they start to get older and the pink starts to fade, they get the like yellow bands on the legs. I'm like,
Yes.
ah, it's so pretty. Such a
Yeah,
cool
dude,
species.
you can't beat that one. And then they have the emerald green abdomen
Mhm.
too. It's just such a cool spider. Like how like, and I wonder like how those colors like affect it in the wild. Like,
They're
how is
probably
that
hidden.
blue supposed to hide it from predators, or is it like a distraction, or
Yeah.
what is that about?
Yeah.
Because like
Mhm.
like birds are different colors for different reasons. So I'm just kind of wondering, like like you have to wonder who painted these spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so for the second one, arachnids don't need much care or attention.
So I think it's like 50-50 because it's all relative. Do they require as much attention as a dog? No. Do they require as much attention as a cat? No. But you still do have to take care of them. You still got to water them every week. I typically water my stuff like once a week is what I do. It depends on like the size of the enclosure and the vial and the humidity in the room and blah 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 blah. All things to take into consideration. But they are really low maintenance, especially if you have older spiders. Like once you get to close to adult size, like you could go away for a week or 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks, and they would be fine.
Yeah, yeah.
So
As long as
as
there's some
far
kind
as
of water.
yeah, as far as care goes, they are very low maintenance. They do still require you to take care of them though.
Yeah.
So and it also depends on the species because like some of the Brachypelma stuff, like I there was a man, I'm blanking on the name right now. The Aphonopelma chalcodes.
Yeah.
What are those? Texas
Desert
tan,
blonde.
Arizona blonde.
Not a
The,
blush.
the plain brown tarantula, like the other 4,700 brown tarantulas. Um, we had one of those that I would use for educational programs, and I would offer it food every single week. And the thing turned down food for 11 months. Like it just didn't eat. And I'm like, you need to eat something. And she's like, nope, I am good. And she would drink water periodically when I would feed it, like fill up her little water thing, but she did not eat for like 11 months. So
Yeah.
Oh,
they are like, they're different. Like they're not a mammal. So like a lot of people's frame of reference for keeping pets is mammals and fish, and they need to be fed regularly and tended to very regularly. Whereas tarantulas are, especially like terrestrial stuff that lives in a more arid place, way, way, way less maintenance. And then you get the stuff that's arboreal or smaller, and then it needs a little bit more.
yeah. But yeah, that definitely tops it off there because like You know, like you're right. Like the slings do, like if you do have like a lot more slings, you might want to be like a little bit more tedious. But
Mhm.
like if you have a lot of like older tarantulas, like you said, they'll be fine for 3 weeks as long as they have like a bowl of water and stuff. They're fine.
Yeah.
And Rob, I have to tell you, I have an Aphonopelma chalcodes like right here with me that just laid an egg sac. And
Ooh.
I was actually like really like I kind of knew there was something up with her because every time I fed her, dude, every week she was eating and she'd eat like
Mhm.
3 to 4 crickets. And I'm like, why are you so
Why are
hungry?
you
Like,
doing
what?
that?
Yeah, I'm like, why are you so hungry? And like, even one, like, I skipped a week for her because like I just was like, girl, you're just so big. And then like all of a sudden she dropped this egg sac and I was like, that makes sense.
Nope. There it is.
Yep.
Have you paired her up, or she could have potentially been carrying sperm from before you got her?
Yeah, she was wild caught.
Yeah.
So she's definitely probably paired before. But she never molted with me, so you
Hmm.
know. But I've only had her since November. I got her from Nate at Micro Wilderness,
Cool.
and um, she's just been a really good spider because like I've been able to handle her and stuff, and she's been great. But she's like she's a little defensive right now, obviously 'cause she's got her
Hmm.
sack. But the funniest thing, you guys, oh my gosh, like literally the last 3 days she's been doing this thing where she's brought her egg sac to like the front of the enclosure and she like hangs out with it and it's almost like she's like, hey lady, come take this egg sac from me.
Uh,
And I'm
That's
like,
funny.
it's not time yet. I'm like, you
mm.
still need to do your duty. She's like, I don't want these kids anymore. So number 3, all spiders can spin webs. This is a really good one, an important one.
Honestly, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that most spiders can spin webs, but there's certain species that don't. Like a lot of wolf spiders don't spin webs, and a lot of the nomadic spiders don't spin webs. Some of the like desert species from like Namib area and stuff. But I'm assuming that they all have spinnerets, so they're able to spin at least some sort of silk.
Right, right. But like like how some people say like avicularia is always web, and
Hmm.
sometimes not like the case with every individual spider.
Yeah.
Like sometimes they can web, but like sometimes it takes I guess that's the kind of the point that I want to get to people is like if people do say that they web and yours isn't webbing yet, just give it time and they'll
Yeah.
probably web eventually. But
Hmm.
every spider goes through like, that time period of settling in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's I've seen a big thing online recently of people who go in their spiders enclosures, like heavy webbing species, and they tear down all their webs every couple weeks. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the best idea. Like sometimes they
I
do
don't
set
think
up shop for a little while.
Right, like I understand it if you're like rehousing, but
Yeah.
to just go in there and do that is pretty rude. I mean,
Yeah.
I think of it like as their artwork,
Yes.
and I just don't want to go in there and, crap on their party per se,
Yeah.
like I want to be
Exactly.
like, "Oh, good job." And they're going to get mad. They usually get really mad and they get really confused and defensive
Yes.
when you start
Because
tearing
it's
up
like
their webs.
that's their territory.
Yeah.
They've set up that home, that space. And I've even heard of people who take their spiders from one enclosure and then put it in like a heavy webbing species like the Monocentripus balfouri, and they take like a spider out of its webbing and just put it in an empty cage, and all of a sudden it just declines and slowly dies because it's like such a new, unusual environment. And then what I've heard from certain people who keep them, keep way more of them than I've kept, that in order to negate that, what you can do is take some of their original webbing and put it into the new enclosure so they have a familiar scent and feel, and then they'll branch out from there and web continuously like it's part of their home already.
Right,
And
right.
and
That's
they're
what
not
I do too.
yeah, and they're not wasting their energy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So number 5, this one it says arachnids are just for thrill seekers and not for regular pet owners. So I guess this kind of touches on a little bit of what we talked about earlier, but anybody can have a tarantula. There is
I think
nobody,
so. Yeah.
there. I really don't think like you can really tell people like no, but everybody should be able to experience having a tarantula if they want to.
If they want to, yeah. I think that there is a species for everyone.
Yeah.
So like not everyone is going to want an OBT. Honestly, I hate OBTs. I will never keep one. I
Dude.
have never kept one. I've worked with them at stores, but I personally will never have one in my collection. I just don't like them. And so there's a species for everyone though. Like if you just want something that'll get you over your fear of spiders, the Phonopelma chalcodes are amazing. They're just like
Yeah.
boop, you pop them in there and they sit there and they don't really, they might move around a little bit, but they're not really out there doing a whole lot. And it's good for you to like desensitize yourself. You can just watch it do its thing. You can feed it every now and again, and it's not really going to like run out of the enclosure or freak out or do any of that stuff. So it's like a great option for someone who is like, I am actually afraid of spiders. I kind of want to get over it, but I don't know how I'm going to do that. You don't send them out with a Poecilotheria or Tapaniquinus or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, you get people who are like daredevils who are like, I really want to live on the razor's edge. And, you could go with any of the arboreal things. But like, honestly, I think that like one of my biggest gripes with like the arachnid hobby is that a lot of people get in and like within the first 6 months they get like really medically significant species and stuff that like will bite you, like Tapaniquinus or OBTs or
HMAC.
HMAX or the man, what's the other, the feather leg, I can't remember the genus.
Calciatum.
Yeah.
Stromatopelma calceatum, those ones in particular, I hate when I see people get those who like don't have any
Me
experience.
too.
I'm like, that thing will fuck you up. Like if you make a mistake, which you're new, so you're going to make a mistake, it could there's a very real possibility that it will put you in the hospital. Please don't do that. And they're like, but it won't kill me. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Do you want to feel like your arm has been put into a boiling vat of oil? Is that something that sounds good? But I didn't die. It's like, okay, cool. Tell that to your nurse while they're giving you pain medication, okay? For your arm
Yeah.
that is going to blister up and be like horrible. So that's my personal biggest gripe with the arachnid hobby is like a lot of people get in the first 6 months, they get these like really medically significant stuff with almost no experience, and they're like, I'll be fine. It's not there hasn't been a recorded death, and it's like, you really want to be that first person, don't you? Like,
Right.
what is
Yeah,
what
don't
was your
mess around
plan of
and find
action with that?
out.
Yeah.
I actually want to give a shout out to Togo and Toma because their first tarantula was the Calciatum, and
Damn.
they've been doing so great, and I'm like, I feel like a proud mom. Like they've been doing so great with theirs, and I gotta give them props. No incidents. No, they do their research, and I'm very proud that they're taking good care of the hobby. Of what they're
Mhm.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
hope they don't have any mistakes.
that's what I always keep in mind too, especially because like I make YouTube videos about, getting tarantulas, keeping tarantulas, all that stuff. But I always like make sure to tell people, do your research before you
Yeah,
get
for
your
real.
first tarantula, and make sure you're doing your Aphonopelmas, your Brachypelmas, and your Grammostolas. Those are all really good ones to start off with. They're hardy. They're not very easy to kill, and you don't want something that's so big and it's sitting there threat posturing you, and both of y'all are terrified of each other. Because like your
Yeah.
tarantula's gonna feed off that energy. I kind of believe that they do, because if you're sitting there screaming, they're gonna feel that.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, and you never want to put somebody in that position where you're gonna put the tarantula in a bad situation. You're putting the person in a bad situation. You're putting the hobby in a bad situation, and that's why I really don't like people that sell people wild caught specimens without telling them that they're wild caught, because there's just so much stuff that can go wrong. This is like a niche hobby, and I don't believe that every single person on this earth should have a tarantula. Can people have a tarantula? Yes, but there's just so much thinking that goes into it, more than just like having this animal in an enclosure on like a shelf in your house. Like there's just so many other factors to be thinking about with these animals, and reptiles too. They all goes hand in hand with each other. It's just all one big thing. But I do want to get into some reptile myths. Number one, it says reptiles are cold-blooded and don't need warmth.
So that's like the opposite. Since they are cold blooded, they do need warmth, and
Ashley.
No, yeah, for real. They they need heat pads. Like, I was a victim to this because well, not really, but like, with my snake, I'm a new snake owner. I just got into snakes last October. And my ball python, like, like you go on like Reddit, like I don't even go on Facebook to ask people for advice. I'm not even gonna set up myself for failure and to be yelled at by random strangers. So like, I get all my information from my friend, but like, um, I just thought that since I had a heat lamp that I didn't need like an underheat mat.
Yeah.
And for like a while, like that's how I kept my ball python for like 2 or 3 months, was like without, the heat pad, just the heat lamp. I mean, all of his like temps were in the right areas, but I have noticed since adding a huge heat pad to like underneath his enclosure, like his appetite's better. He's moving around a lot more. He's digesting his meals better. He's actually like more hungry than he was. He doesn't come out anymore, which kind of makes me sad, but at the same time, he's just so happy that I don't really mind it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that back in the day, there was a lot more discourse around heating and how people heat their animals, and there's so many different options for you to be able to use, whether it's a radiant heat panel or a ceramic heat emitter or a deep heat emitter or heat pads or this or that. There's a million different ways to do things, and I'm not going to say there's no wrong way, because there is. If you're not giving your tropical snake any heat, that's the wrong way. But
Right.
There's lots of different ways to heat them and for them to do well and to thrive in your care. And I do find that like when you add a heat pad on top of like a lighting situation, or even just using a heat pad as opposed to using a lighting situation, if you've got a sort of enclosure that keeps in that heat fairly well, they do great on that sort of stuff, because they'll just go like curl right up on that like little cinnamon bun and just like hang out, digest their stuff. And you got to wonder what about where they live aids to that,
Right. And you are right. The reason why I added the heat mat is because behind me is my snake's enclosure. It's glass, so it doesn't keep the heat in very well. So that's why I ended up adding one. And I just had people commenting like I needed to add one or whatever. But like you said, there's so many ways to do it. But there's so many different ways to do things.
Yeah.
Number 2, reptiles are not affectionate and don't bond with humans.
I will say that that's false for certain reptiles. Working at Nerd, the Asian water monitors, those things are affectionate. And there was certain water monitors that like loved me in particular. I don't know if it's just because I spend a lot of time with them or whatever, but there was like one female Asian water monitor named Lorelei, and she was in the last room in the hallway. It's like our adult water monitor room for our bigger water monitors. And that's also where I would take pictures for the website. So like every day I'm in there, taking animals, putting them on a lighting box, taking pictures of them, setting them up, doing this all day long. And when I would come in there in the morning, she would like come over to the door, and there's like a big screen next to the door, and she would climb all the way up to the top and then drag her claws all the way and like fall all the way down to the bottom, and just keep doing that over and over and over until I like open up the door, and then she would come over to the door, and I would just kneel down with her and like pet her and rub underneath her chin and like scratch her and everything. Some days she like was like, okay, that's enough, and then she would go back and do her thing in her enclosure. And then some days she would like climb out and want to climb all over me, and I'm like, I have work to do. I cannot like I would love to hang out with you all day, but I cannot hang out with you all day. So there are lots of reptiles that are very affectionate and like to be close to the keeper, and then there's other things that are like, yeah, whatever, I really don't care. And it varies a lot depending on what type of critter you're talking about. I find that a lot more lizards are more interactive and more like affectionate, some might say, than a lot of snakes are. But I've seen snakes that are like that too, where they'll like come out and like want to spend time with you and like curl up. And part of that is the heat that you've got, and then like part of that has to be, in my opinion, that they're like recognize that you're not a threat to them, you're part of their like environment.
Right, where you feed them enough times, and they see you as like their caregiver rather than threat. And for anybody watching, if you guys want to know the big difference between arachnids and reptiles, is arachnids don't know who you are. They'll
They don't
never
care.
understand who you are. They'll always think you're a threat. They won't remember you. And and that's personally why I got into reptiles myself, was because I was like, dang, these tarantulas do not give no craps about me. And I was like, but I take care of you. And I'm like, just give me something back. And no. So now I have my geckos and my snakes that I can sit here and I can talk to, and I don't feel like I'm talking to a wall, they at least, respond in some kind of way. But yeah, my tarantulas, they don't care. They will never care. And like, they are like, they don't have such great eyesight either. So it's not like they can really see you, where your jumping spiders can literally look you in the eye, and they're like, hey. But yeah, that's definitely like, but I found that, like, even if my reptiles don't love me, they don't want to like come crawling out, they at least like, show the fact that like they care, I guess, in a way, in their little own ways. So number 3, reptiles are low maintenance and don't require much care.
I think that also depends on the type of reptile and all relative to what sort of thing you're talking about. Because like a saltwater fish tank, a lot of effort and energy and time and all that jazz. Yeah, it's very high maintenance. And then a ball python, probably not all that high maintenance, comparatively. But again, you still have to take care of it, several times a week. Make sure it's got clean water. Make sure it's getting fed regularly. And again, regularly is a very relative term, because I have a 23-year-old ball python, and he went 11 months without eating in my care once. This was like a long time ago, maybe 15 years ago. But he went 11 months without eating. And so, I still offered him food, but he was just like, no, I'm not interested in eating right now. So stuff like that happens sometimes, and you just got to roll with it. They're way more resilient than people give them credit for. And, so again, there's a lot of answers for that question. Cause like monitor lizards, a lot of time, effort, money, care, everything. They're very high maintenance. And then like a corn snake, really, really low maintenance. Like,
there's definitely
you can even hibernate them over the winter time. So you can like, basically you don't have to take care of them for 4 months. You just like set them up in a bin with a water dish and some substrate, and then put them someplace cold for 4 months, and check on them every couple of weeks just to make sure that there's a little bit of water in there. And that's naturally what they would be doing in the wild. So again, it runs the gambit. There's some things that do require a lot of care, and then some reptiles that really don't require a whole lot of care.
Right. And some are more expensive than others, obviously. I honestly feel like reptiles are really expensive, though, especially compared to arachnids.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Comparatively, they're way more expensive.
Like if you're getting a tarantula, it could possibly be like $200, but when you're buying like the times I've bought my geckos, I spent $600-$700 just on everything.
And it's like, if you brought that $600 to the arachnid hobby, you could buy the toppest and highest and rarest, coolest thing that you ever like saw. You could get, Scolopendra hardwicki, the like black and orange centipedes. Those things run like $600, which is like,
lava spider.
Man, that's a really expensive invertebrate. But like a $600 snake, I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. There's a lot of $600 snakes. It's like not crazy unreasonable, I guess. So it's all relative.
Yeah. Dude, I really want the Davis S. Panama, the lava tarantula. Oh my gosh, those ones are so gorgeous.
I'm just
waiting until they all. Huh?
I've kept those before. They're really cool.
Yeah, have you? I just been kind of waiting until the prices dropped on them, like especially like T. Caledonia, stuff like that.
How much do those Panamas go for now?
For an adult, $600, and I think for a sling, it's $175.
What?
$600 for a female. Yeah, last time I saw.
Damn.
Yeah.
I think I bought mine for like $60.
Liz has one.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's wild that those have gotten more expensive since I was keeping them.
yeah, they have. They're really expensive. That's why I don't have one yet.
They're cool. They web like crazy.
Yeah.
They do. The next question is: all reptiles eat live prey?
No, that's not true. Like, especially snakes in particular, it's very easy to get them to eat frozen thawed prey. And there's a lot of things like iguanas that just eat vegetation, which I guess is technically alive because plants have to be alive when you eat them. But, you know,
But it's not a
it,
mouse.
yeah, it's not a mouse. Yeah, yeah. So there are lots of things that are not live that reptiles will eat, and it also again depends on the type of reptile because like people think about monitor lizards, they're carnivores, and so they're like, oh my god, I gotta feed it live things. It's like, no, actually they'll eat like scrambled eggs and mashed up chicken and
Chicken
turkey
legs.
and beef, and they'll eat fish fillets and whole frozen thawed rodents and all sorts of stuff. So like there's lots of ways to do it where you don't have to feed snakes live things. So
Yeah.
Right.
And Mikey Bustos just said last night on your pod that some of his monitors eat vegetables. I was like, what?
he's talking about the sailfin dragons. They are, yeah, they eat a lot of vegetation and like fruits and veggies, which is really cool because like conventional wisdom for keeping them in the hobby has been that they are primarily insectivores, when in reality they're like kind of, I'm not gonna say 50-50, but they eat way more fruits and veggies than they do typically insects and rodents and stuff.
For sure.
The more you know.
The more you know. I love seeing people feeding their monitors giant chicken legs.
Oh yeah,
Eat
they
the
just like
whole
slug
bone.
them down. Yeah, they're
I'm
just like,
like,
yep.
how? You didn't even take a bite out of that thing first. They're just like gulp.
Yep, they just gulp the whole thing down. It's pretty wild.
I think it's crazy. So I do want to go over some general misconceptions for arachnids and reptiles. Arachnids and reptiles are low effort pets. We kind of already talked about that they're not they can be high maintenance, low effort, depending. Keeping arachnids and reptiles is unsafe for children.
I think that keeping any pet is unsafe for children, honestly. Like, if you leave a child unsupervised, like a young child with a cat or a dog, it's just as dangerous as with a snake. For most, like a lot of the pet snakes, corn snakes, ball pythons, that sort of stuff, is just as dangerous to leave them with a cat or a dog as it is those other ones. But tarantulas, I feel like in particular, you need to have some sort of lights going on upstairs, and kids usually don't get a whole lot of that until they're at least a few years old. So it's not, if you get a pet for your child, it's not your child's pet, it's your pet, and your kid gets to enjoy it as a moving picture box in their room. Don't expect your child to take care of it. So
Right. I did want to cover Ashley's comment about the Boomba Harita. I don't have one, but they some spiders can naturally just stay underground for longer periods of time. So if your OBT is coming out, that doesn't mean like, there's something wrong with it. It just could be underground for different reasons, like, it's getting ready to molt, it's in pre-molt, obviously, or stuff like that.
I can answer Ashley's because I have a Bumba Horda.
Okay.
The Bumba Horda, formerly known as the Bumba Cabocla. So that species is, yes, a pet rock, but more so a pet under rock. Because so when there's slings from sling to about between 3 years old, they will stay underground. They will not come out. Don't worry about it. They eventually will come out. Just let them be. So I have one I got from Frank Chavez, Frank's Buggin 661. Look him up. He's great. I got hit. He got me the Bumba Horda as a sling. Had it for 3 years underground. Finally came out. I took out all the molts that it had. Of course, like I was scared and I was like, oh my God, are you alive? But no, she had like a little window in the enclosure. So I was like peeking, like, are you okay? You good? Okay, you alive. All right. So yeah, they do that species. A lot of people do say that they're semi-terrestrial fossorial, but they're more fossorial.
Mhm.
So once they get a good size, they do come out and they do stay out. Like right now, Hades, she's out all the time, and I gave her enough substrate. So yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they stay underground a lot, especially as slings, because they're, they're used to being in the wild where they're trying to avoid getting eaten and, you know, dying to the wildlife around them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
I've not kept that species before.
no,
No,
I
I
don't
saw
have
that
one either.
somebody talked about the Thailand black. I've kept those. Those are Serpagopus minax or one of the other ones.
I'm
For
not
the
sure what the
black,
scientific names are.
oh, I'm not good
I'm
with the
I'm
Asian.
Yeah, me
yeah.
neither.
I'm really
I don't
bad
have,
at common names. Let
I
me
think I
look it
only
up.
have one Asian spider.
Me too. Oh no, I have two. Yeah, but the Thailand ones, I don't know the scientific name.
Yeah, Serpagopus minax. I kept those once
Yeah, how was that?
before. Evil. The thing was horrendous.
That's what I was going to
It
say
was
because
not.
they are ballsy.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
and then the albostriatum. I had one of those too. I like those ones more. Honestly, I like things that have contrast to them, and so a lot of the, like plain colored tarantulas I find really boring. So like Brazilian blacks, a lot of the Aphonopelma species, um, that the Serpagopus minax, all the stuff that's like one flat color. I'm like, you're kind of boring. I don't know. Like, I wish you had something like interesting pattern wise going on. A lot of the stuff that I like to keep has got like pattern and color and lots of stuff going on with it. So uh oh yeah, Haplopelma, they used to be Haplopelma minax and now Serpagopus. So
Ah,
maybe
okay.
they moved them back. I don't know. They change genus every couple months it seems.
Yeah,
So
All the time.
all the time.
That's all the questions I had for you today. Did you want to talk about anything else? Any other topics? Did you want to ask me and Kat any questions?
I'm trying to think. You guys already said what your favorite spider species are. I'm trying to think because like right, I'm just like trying to get back into keeping some of the stuff that I used to keep. Like I'm trying to find somebody who's got the Subfusca, the Poecilotheria subfusca, the Highland ornamentals, and the lowlands. Those things are so freaking cool. Hold on, I got this framed picture of one.
Ooh,
Cool.
gorgeous. I love their
Send
pattern.
that to me.
It's pretty tight, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's dope. I would hang that up.
Yeah, I was like, I saw a guy who took that picture and he was like, I was selling prints and I was like, dude, what do I got to do to get like a big ass print of that for my house? And so I've had that for a few years. And then I used to keep that species.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine having a Thailand black.
I
Not for
had,
me.
yeah,
Man, I
I
got to
had,
clean this shadow box, but I got a shadow box of some molts from the
ooh,
females
yeah,
that I used to have.
Oh, that's cool.
nice.
And
Love it.
I bred those twice, and the females ate the egg sacs both times, and it crushes me to this day because those are
Aw.
really rare. And since they got ESA listed, you can't bring them across state lines anymore, and blah blah blah. So that was such like a freaking bummer. But I'm trying to find somebody in North Carolina who's got them so I can get some more of them because they're like my absolute favorite. I love those. And then, have you seen Avicularia minatrix?
Yes.
The Venezuelan red stripe pink toe?
Yeah.
Those two, those are like my absolute favorite tarantulas. Between the Sofusca and the Minatrix, those are both like my favorites. So I used to have a bunch of Minatrix when I lived in Massachusetts, and then when I moved to Maine, I had to get rid of them, which is like my biggest regret. I should have just kept them like in a closet someplace and like
Oh
not
my
told
God.
anybody. But I sold them and I regret it to this day because those are like such a cool species and hardly anyone works with them anymore. So it's like such a pain in the butt to try and find some. But I really like those guys.
What is your, I know you're not into like true spiders or anything, but like you're kind of like me with the creepiness, that you like the creepiness and stuff. What
Hmm.
kind of, okay, have you ever heard of the woodlouse spider?
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay,
I
yeah.
found those in the wild. Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah, with
Okay, would you ever
the
keep one?
big
Yes.
like chelicerae and the fangs that move like sideways like this, so that they can like pinch underneath the
Yeah.
isopods.
Yes. The scientific name is Distra crocata.
Mm.
Distra crocata. I love
I
that.
found
That's
those
so cute.
before. They're like I'm not gonna say that they're common, but I would see them every, at least a couple times a year when I lived in Massachusetts, and when I would travel other places. Like when I'm flipping rocks and looking for things, they would just be around in, places where you'd find isopods. So I've seen those. I don't really have a big interest in keeping them, but I think they're pretty cool when I see them in the wild. Those are pretty cool.
They make great mothers.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Whoa, what
Like,
spider is this?
okay, so they're orange and like tan, and
What's
they
it
have
called?
like Distra
No,
crocata.
what's its common name?
Oh, okay. It's wood louse
Okay.
spider. I think I'm saying it
Oh
right.
yeah, you got
Yeah.
it. Oh,
Right?
those look crazy.
They're
Yeah.
Those
Look
look
at
like
giant.
the
needles, little
Yeah.
pincers.
Yeah. I love them.
That looks cool. They kind of look like an ant. Anybody that
Mhm.
wants to know what they look like?
Yep. That's the one. Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
their phylogeny is Arthropoda arrhenia.
Mhm.
So they're true spider? No.
Yep.
Yeah.
They have to be true spiders, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
typically the true spiders, their chelicerae and fangs move
Right.
side to side, and then the
Yes.
tarantulas, you get the
Yeah.
forward moving fangs. I would love to see like net casting spiders in the wild. Those things
Mhm.
are so interesting. I think they're really cool.
The ogre.
Um, yeah, those guys are cool. And then I've out in North Carolina, I found the silk spitting spiders. So like last summer, I found a female silk spitting spider with her egg sacs, which was pretty cool. And then I've seen a lot of the like arrow shaped microthenas, which I've got a tattoo
Oh, yes,
right
yes.
there. Those guys are cool. That's like my favorite true spiders, the Microthena sagittata. And then there's like the Gastrocantha cancerites,
That's
the
right.
spiny orb weavers, and they've got like the Argyopes, the like black and yellow big orb weavers. Those are really cool too. I love seeing spiders out in their natural environment. So like when I'm herping, if I do see spiders, I'll usually try and get a picture of them. I saw a pretty cool um Dolomedes species, the like fisherman spiders.
Mm-hmm.
I see those like because I like to go herping kind of along rivers and near ponds and stuff, and so Dolomedes spiders are all over the freaking place, and some of them get like big, it's a couple inch leg span, and I think those are really cool. I like those too. I don't want to keep them, but I think they're
Yeah.
interesting.
I got a debunking myth for you.
What you got?
Let's hear.
Okay. Heteropodera huntsmans are
Mhm.
only found in Australia. True or false?
No, that's false.
Right.
Heteropoda lunula are really cool. Those are from Asia. Those are probably my favorite. The heteropoda, they're so beautiful. I
Oh,
had them, and I could not get them to get to like mature size. I could get them up to like an inch and a half, and then for some reason I could not get them to reach maturity. I don't know what the hell I was doing wrong, but
Hmm.
I really would love to get some of those. If you guys
Yeah.
are listening and you have not seen the Heteropoda lunula, the purple huntsman spiders, those are like
Gorgeous.
the one of the coolest huntsman spider species.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. And
I
we
had
have
a.
here.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jen.
I had a huntsman spider. She not recently, but she passed away this year. Her name was Ghost, and she was a Thailand ghost huntsman. Have you ever seen those?
Do you know what the Latin name is?
It's like Barasatori Saratori, something like that. I'll show you a picture. Um, but dude, she was like my favorite true
Mm.
spider to keep because she was absolutely like terrifying looking, but she was so
Okay.
sweet. You could open up the enclosure, spray everything. She wouldn't move. I mean, sometimes she'd
Yeah.
run away, obviously, but most for the most time, she wouldn't really like bother me. We kind of had like this agreement, like I'm gonna put your food in there, and you're not gonna take off and do laps while I'm in there. And she never did. She never got out. So I'm pretty happy with that.
I would like to get like some of the berry stylus, I think is the
Yeah,
Latin name for the genus.
that's what it is.
Oh
Bears,
yeah,
stylus.
berry
It's
stylus. Yeah,
some super scientific. I don't even know. I'm trying to find a picture of her for you.
they're really cool. And then there's like a couple other like related species that Scales and Tails of Ohio got. This was a year ago or so, but they had some really cool huntsmen come in, and then they had like they had a report of David Bowie and the man, what the heck is I can't
What
remember
about the Tapostola barbata, the green
I'm
belly
I'm not sure
huntsman?
if they had got those ones in. They
Uh-huh.
had the Bowie, it's not the David Bowie, but the Boiei. It's like a green lichen huntsman, and they're like
Yeah.
really, really big, like really leggy. They had some of those too.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Let's
cool.
go. That I took that picture of her when she was dead. By the way,
Mhm.
Oh
she's
wow.
on paper towel.
Oh.
But yeah, I think the scientific name it says Barrelistus sauristoi.
Heck yeah.
A for effort.
One of those.
Very last
Okay.
day. There we go.
How long
I
did
would
you
love
have
to
her?
get some of the. I've got on the back here Delana cancerites, which are
Oh
from
yeah.
Australia. I would love
Oh
to
yeah.
get some of those. Those are the ones that they use in the movie Arachnophobia.
Yeah.
And
Really?
I would love to get some of those because, like, apparently they're a communal huntsman
Yep.
species, and so you can find them in like big groups together.
Yep.
And so I always have thought, like, man, if I could get some of those in the U.S., that would be really cool. I think
Yeah.
they're called, the common name is like Avondale huntsman spider.
Mm.
They're really cool, but I've never seen them for sale in the U.S.
Yeah. My Liz, she has a David Bowie. I've seen it. It's so
Oh
cool. It's just like this little fuzzy spider, but it moves so fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it's one thing when they're like older, but if you get any of those true spider, like the true huntsman or like the true spiders or huntsmen when they are like this
Little.
big, they move faster than every tarantula, like every tarantula
Oh
ever.
yeah.
You think that like people think that like Tapaniquinas are fast or like Poecilotheria are fast. No. They're
No.
not even close. They don't even come close to the speed of like Viridaceus fasciatus or any of the Holconia species or Heteropoda species that they like people talk about tarantulas teleporting.
yeah.
No, not until
No,
you
but the
see a true
huntsman tells
spider. True spiders teleport.
they
Yes.
do. It's so fast. That's why, like, I was so thankful. Like, I got her as an adult on purpose because she was my first huntsman spider,
Hmm.
and I didn't want to have to rehouse her. So I
Yeah.
just got her as an adult, and then I got her a large enclosure, and I never had to deal with that. But I just can't imagine. Like, I'm totally fine with my Poecilotherias, like my pokies. I literally pick them up with them in like the log, and they won't go anywhere. But I don't trust a huntsman.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Next
That's
thing you
fair.
know, she'd be like in like the crack of somewhere. Like, I
Yep.
literally have been told by people like because they were photographing somebody's spider, like huntsman spider, and it literally took off and they never found it again.
Hmm. Yeah, I try and do all my rehouses in the bathtub for that reason. So I just bring the whole enclosure, put it in the bathtub, and that way, if they do take off for some reason, the sides of the tub are really smooth, so they have a tough time scooting up them. There's nothing for them to get underneath. You can plug up the hole for the spout and the hole at the bottom of the tub, and it's really easy to get a catch cup almost everywhere inside of a bathtub. So I like do almost all of my rehouses in the bathtub, and I've been doing that for like years and years and years because the first time that I lost a tarantula in my room, I was like, never again. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
double bin
nobody
method.
likes that feeling. Peekaboo. We're gonna get
Yeah.
a random surprise today.
Yeah,
No,
no fun.
I would I'd have to be looking like immediately tear my house apart. I would
Yeah, I
be more
lost
scared
a
of my dog.
Armenia that was like this big
Oh
in my
no.
room. Yeah, I was going to feed it, and I had the vial in one hand and the tongs in the other one with the cricket, and I went to go like put the cricket in there, but it felt the cricket on the edge, and so it like ran up to the top, and I tried to close the lid, but instead I like pressed the container right out of my hand, and it like shot across the floor. And I'm like, well, and I got to go tear apart my room. So I tore apart my room for like 3 hours, and I couldn't find it. And I was like, well, Mom, don't open my don't come in here. And she was like, you better find it. And so I tore apart my room. I couldn't find it. I went to bed. 2 days later, I'm putting on my pants. When you get up in the morning, I put on my pants and I like pick them up all the way up to the top, and then it like ran out the bottom of my pant leg and like across the floor. And so I like had to go catch it. And I was like, finally, at least I got it. It's not lost in the room anymore.
Ew.
Yeah, but it was like in your pants.
Yes. Yeah. It could have been a really bad situation. I mean, it was only this big, but still, that's not a place where I would like to get there.
Yeah, no. That's such a simultaneous thing to do. Like they are such like little crazy tarantulas. Like mine is always coming out just to attack the water. Not care. She'll get sprayed in the face. She'll just, I'm like, what are you doing? Go away. You were fine before.
They're so cool.
Yeah, I lost an OBT.
Girl, what?
Yeah.
That's why I won't keep them.
Yes. But here's the thing. Okay, so for everyone who's watching, if you lose a little sling or a spider in your house or whatever, don't worry about it, because 2 things are going to happen. Either you might find it, but after a while, that thing is dead because you have natural house spiders. And so if you lose a sling and it gets out there, either it's going to die by dehydration, starvation, or it's going to get caught by another spider. So here's the thing, what happened with my OBT. It was a little sling. There is no way in heck that it escaped from its little enclosure that I had it in, because I had 3. So this particular one, it's a mystery. I don't know where it is. I'm looking through it, checking. It had a molt. There was a molt in there, so it molted. It's gone. Nowhere to be found. So I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, if it escaped during winter, it's dry season and it's a sling. So either it died by getting eaten by another spider or whatever. So don't get scared if you lose a little sling, because you will never find it.
Either that, or you'll come in and there'll be like a little web in a couple months in the corner someplace. I've seen that happen to people too.
They take up residency in some hole in the wall. Oops, my bad. You know what's crazy is like, oh, dude, I am such a forgetful person when I'm tired. Like, I am like the sleepiest person you guys will probably ever meet. I love taking naps. I'm such a sleepy person. Freaking, I will literally leave my enclosures open on accident. And like on my tarantulas too. Like, recently, like 2 weeks ago, luckily it was one of my Phonopomus humanis that were like, she wasn't even underground either yet. And I left the lid open because I had watered her, and I like came in. I was like, oh my god, like, oh my, because she's like 5 inches big, 6, not 6, but she's 5, pretty big spider. And I just like look in there. I'm like, how are you still in there? So like, if you do leave the lid open, some of them don't necessarily will leave, but there are like ones that will definitely take the opportunity. Yeah. They start feeling the wind on their legs. They're like, oh, that's freedom. Yeah, like my grandma's still a poker piece. Every time I open the lid to her, she's just like, she'll sit there for a few minutes and she starts climbing out. I'm like, girl, you would definitely like run away. But I also get worried because they're on shelves, and if they were to like fall or something, I could never forgive myself. I would be so I would be heartbroken. But I've left my enclosures open on accident. Just something that happens sometimes. Yeah. Has that happened to you?
Not with tarantulas. I've done that by accident with a snake once, where I like,
which one?
Eating a whole bunch of stuff and like doing this thing and that thing. I'm like, I think the enclosure is closed, and then I come back later and it's like crawling across the, the shelf and everything. I'm like, oh well, I did not lock that.
Yeah, like I really want to get into venomous snakes eventually. Not anytime.
That's a bad combo.
But I couldn't imagine like accidentally leaving open an enclosure. So I really have to think about this, because I've left the enclosures open more than once. I don't need
Yeah,
a
not with a
cobra
venomous
in my
snake. Yeah,
bed biting me because I
Seriously.
forgot. But I think I would definitely have like locks, but even then I couldn't trust myself.
yeah, yeah. It's good to some companies will set it up so that the locks are the handles to open up the doors. So like this one right here, the locks are how you open and close it. And then same thing with this. I got a lock right here that lets me open and close it. And so if the door's not locked, it won't close really. So those are good to have.
Good.
Very handy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also use zip ties. That's like a little mental thing for me. Zip tie it up. Because what was crazy. Oh my gosh, I have like this weird story for you guys. I don't know if you guys believe in the supernatural or whatever, but my papa just recently passed away. And the day that I found out, like he died that day, and then I found out the next day. But my crested gecko, one of my geckos, I swear to God, he like came and let him out. My freaking crested gecko was on my light, my ring light, just hanging out, and I'm like,
Chilling.
I swear to God, I like locked that last night. And I'm like, my papa must have came, let the gecko out. I don't know if that's true, but it just kind of made me happy a little bit. I was like, that's cool. You think it's weird. You never know, you know?
You never know.
You never know. I do believe in that stuff, though. I'm like, wholeheartedly believe in the supernatural.
She's like, oh, the OBT is going to be hiding in your pants. That, like, Rob.
Oh my God, yeah, there's going to be an OBT waiting for Rob.
That is my worst nightmare.
I have an OBT. She's like super sweet, though. She is a sweetie. She's just a little sweetie. Her name's Sriracha. She's never, like slapped me. She slapped at me, but she's never slapped me. Like slapped the tongs, or she's always ran away. But this last rehousing I did with her, dude, oh my God, she was running circles around the enclosure, and I was just like trying to get her, and every time, like I literally like got her in the enclosure, went to go shut the lid, and she just runs out and then just goes around the lid, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then eventually she just gave up. Eventually I just like took the brush and I just like kind of like pushed her in there a little bit, you know? And I was like, wow, it could have been that easy to start off with, but we had to dance around. And sometimes yeah.
Some species are just like, nope, I need to run it out. I got to run it out before I will surrender.
Dude, for real. Like my Saratoga Starlingi was like that. And oh my gosh, that one was so hard to rehouse. I was that person though, that within like the first 7 months, I had my OBT. I have my regalis. But I don't regret it though. I think my Pokies are probably one of my favorites, and so are my OBT. See, I have to show you guys this. Look at this tarantula. Can you see her? With her egg sac. She's like, lady, come take this away.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Is it? That's nature for you. It was funny though, because I was talking to my mom this morning. Oh, I just stepped in these piles of molds. No. I just might start itching. I like showed my mom her this morning. She's like walking around. I'm like, yeah, she left her egg sac. And then as soon as I said that, she goes crawling around to her egg sac and puts all of her legs on it. Yeah, I have a bunch of molds right here.
Oh.
Hopefully not a whole bunch of New World species. They're going to be itching like crazy.
There's a good amount.
Rob,
New Worlds.
Do you have since you're a tarantula keeper and a hobbyist, do you have the famous skin bin?
I used to. Since I just got back into getting keeping a lot of tarantulas, I'll have one. But right now I've only got like maybe 4 or 5 exoskeletons that I've got laid out, so I don't have like a ton of stuff for a skin bin. But I used to have, especially because like when I was at Nerd, we had so many tarantulas between the stuff that was for sale and the stuff that we were trying to breed that I get molts all the time. So I'd be laying stuff out and drying them, and from all these different species. And so I had so many molts, so many molts. And then I kept a couple that I like shadow box for like my Subfuscas and stuff like that. But I don't have as many as I used to. I used to have a ton.
Yeah, I have my skin bin. That's like my overflowing skin bin right now. I need another bin for more skin.
Any of the New World species, I'm like, maybe I won't keep yours. I'll just get rid of yours. Like, especially like geniculatas and shit. Like, no, fuck that. I got really bad haired from a geniculata once, and I still have flashbacks to trying to not make my hands itch from that thing.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, it's awful once you get haired. Like, I didn't realize my tiger wandering spider had urticating hairs. And then, like, I went to go grab its molt the other day, and I, like, immediately felt all of those hairs on my fingers. I was like, why did I know?
Yeah, why did I do
could
this?
see him kicking hairs at me, but I didn't think it was that bad that I was going to touch it, and immediately it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's
Have you guys ever kept Phenutria?
What?
Phenutria, the wandering spider from Brazil?
I was going to get a golden blue femur one, but it passed away before it got shipped to me. Those are cool. But aren't they highly venomous though?
Yeah, they're deadly.
I don't like the idea of that.
Yeah,
is that the one where if it bites a male, like a human male, you get an erection?
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What'd you say? Wait, what? So if you get bit,
it'll give you a exciting time before you potentially die.
What?
Yeah.
What the? What a way to go.
I'm just saying.
You die happy.
If you gotta go.
I don't know how happy that is.
Yeah. Phenutria, there's been like a few different species of Phenutria that came into the hobby it's probably been 8 years now, or 6 years at least. But they used to be around a bit for a while, but again, they're another one that's just like, oh cool, another plain brown spider. I'm not like,
it's not just like
some of them have like red wash across their face, but
so that's actually a good myth or misconception debunking that not all wandering spiders are deadly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, not all wandering spiders are deadly.
Right.
No, mine is not venomous.
Yeah. But the Phenutria genus is particularly potent. What?
I'm feeling those hairs in my feet already.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I stepped on much of it.
Regret.
It doesn't feel too bad yet.
So it's like a good thing you can't tickle yourself, because like that just sounds like a nightmare. Like that for me, that would be like hell. It's like, just kill me. I can't handle that. Like if I got those hairs like on my feet, my feet are so sensitive, I'd just die.
Yeah.
I'd be like, nope, just kill me. Just cut them off. I can't do this. I'll take death. Thank you.
It's a would you rather situation.
Yeah, right.
Huh?
Like
a would you rather situation.
Yeah. No, I don't. No hairs. That's why I barely keep any New World species. I just like, the hairs are too much for me. I'd rather have something that wants to murder me.
Yeah.
See, that's so weird. I can handle Theraphosa hairs, but Brachypelma, I can't. That's why I don't have any Brachypelma. I don't want them. Don't need it.
Have you ever kept a six-eyed sand spider?
The
Rob?
Sicarius species, yeah. I haven't personally kept them. One of my exes kept them while we were dating, so she had them alongside all my tarantulas. So basically, I kept them. And then I worked with some at Nerd, and they're okay. They're kind of boring because most of the time they're buried underneath the sand. So it's like, cool, you get to see it eat once a week, if that, Yeah. And so
it's like trapdoors.
Yeah, they're okay. They're a lot of that stuff is overrated to me, like the Sicarius. Like a lot of people are like, ooh, they're super deadly and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, but like you never see them. They are not particularly like heavily patterned, or like to me, stuff that doesn't have pattern, I'm like, it's kind of boring. So that sort of stuff is not as interesting to me as a Poecilotheria or like even an Androchromatus or like the Tripepii or the Geniculata.
Mm-hmm.
Like any of that stuff is more interesting because I like stuff that's got patterning to it. So a lot of the stuff that's like plain colored, I'm just like, whatever. I don't really find it interesting.
At least you don't like New Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the
That's
new
most
worlds
of
are
them.
just most of the new worlds are not interesting to me. That's why I have the Marinus, the Ephiopus Marinus, because like I love those like the really
Yeah.
nice bold
Striking.
bands or stripes on the legs. I love
Yeah.
that. It's just so cool.
That's my Costa Rican zebra knees. I love them for that.
Mm.
They're
Yeah,
just
those
so
are cool too.
striking.
So I have another debunking
Yes.
or misconception. New World venom is less potent than Old World.
In general, that is true.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are some species that are fairly significant in the New World stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how much LD50 testing they've done on things like the Salmopos victori or some of the other arboreal things. I would assume have a little bit more of a potent venom, but comparatively, Old World stuff has got way
Yeah.
more potent venom in general than the majority of the New World species.
Right.
Yep.
And that's why they have the urticating hairs, is because they don't have that really high.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And then you got like the Marinus that has the urticating hairs on the pedipalps, and it's like
Yep.
a double whammy. So they bite you and they hair you at the same time. It's like, oh, why would the devil
Yep.
made you? Why are you like this?
You're so beautiful,
Yeah.
but you're so deadly.
That's why they're the skeleton.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they'll turn you
Spider.
into a
Yeah.
skeleton.
Come here, Weenie.
So interesting.
What's your daddy doing? You guys want to see my chihuahua?
Oh.
Hi, Coco.
So gold.
Huh?
It's so gold.
I know.
Golden color.
A little golden chihuahua. She's psycho. Don't get one. They're psychos.
Yeah. So Rob, you're not breeding any tarantulas, right now?
No, not right now. I've bred a bunch of species before, but it's been a while since I've bred anything, so I don't have any high ambitions of breeding things. If I got Poecilotheria subfusca again, I would want to breed those because with the ESA listing, there's hardly anyone breeding them on any sort of scale anymore, and they're at a high risk of disappearing from the hobby if people are not breeding them. And so since I have bred them and kind of been successful with them before, I would like to breed them again if I can get some and propagate them and then be able to like gift them to people and send them out and everything. I would like to do that, but I'm not currently breeding anything. Oh, one second. I got a really cool picture or two pictures to show you that relate to whether or not I'm breeding things. This is like a little piece of Rob is creeping at real history here. These pictures right here are from, I don't know if you can see, January 15th, 1994.
Wow.
And it is a picture of breeding my avicularia.
Wow.
Back then, no one really knew how to breed, or like it was not common knowledge how to breed tarantulas. And we had a pair. We had a male that matured, and we had an adult female. And so what we did is we reached out to the local zoo, and we were like, "Hey, we got a pair of tarantulas, and we'd like to try and breed them, but we don't really know what the hell we're doing. Do you guys have anyone who might know what they're doing?" And so they sent over a couple photographers who had worked with National Geographic and this, that, and the other thing. And so we set up this tank in our living room with some rocks and some gravel and a background and everything. This is so 90s, right? That's not the type of environment that they would be in naturally, but that's what they had recommended that we set up. So that's what we set up. And we set them in there, and the guys are photographing everything, right? And this is another picture from that same time, and you can actually see that they're breeding in this picture.
Yeah. Wow.
And so the photographers are all, this is on our living room or our coffee table, right? And they've got these lights all over the place, and they got their zoom lenses, and they're like taking pictures. And all this stuff. And before we paired them, we're talking to them and they're like, oh yeah, we went to the Serengeti in Africa and we're laying in, downwind from lions and watching them take down gazelles and, this, that, and the other thing, talking about all these like really dangerous animals that they've been around. And, these are avicularia. So they're like harmless spiders, very, very harmless spiders.
Right.
And so they're taking pictures as they're like courting. The male's tapping, he's going up, tapping, getting closer, closer, closer. And so they, like, conventional wisdom back then was like, as soon as the female's done with being bred, she's going to eat them. And so they're sitting there with their lenses, like all crouched down on the ground like this, getting all zoomed in and everything. And so like, as he's breeding, they're getting like really good shots of the male, like breeding the female. And they're waiting for the female to come down and attack. But instead, like avicularia, typically the females don't usually eat the males unless the male has no place to go and she'll like chase them sometimes. But in a situation like this, she's probably not going to eat him. We didn't know that. It's 1994. I was 5 years old. How the hell are we supposed to know that shit? The only information, there was no internet. So like the only information we got was like in a book, and there was hardly any information about breeding tarantulas. And so they were like, oh, she's going to kill him and we're going to get the shot of the fangs going into him as she's doing it. And so they're zoomed in like this with all the lights behind them and everything. And there's like two guys in there. And as soon as they were done breeding, they both went like this in different directions. But all they saw on the camera was spiders, no spiders. And so they jumped, knocked over all the lights all over the living room, knocked their cameras over. And so me and my mom are like trying to like corral the spiders back into the area. But the guys like have been bragging about being around lions and like hyenas and like all these crazy things.
And they're
but
losing their shit.
Couple pink toes and they're losing their minds. So yeah, this is like this is a old tattered picture, but January
Polaroid.
15th, 1994. So that was right before my 5th birthday.
Wow.
That we had that happen. And I don't think I've ever showed these online. I think that these have just been like in my little case there, but
yeah, you got to frame it.
Yeah.
I probably should, honestly, because these don't exist anywhere else. If these get ruined, I don't have backup copies of them. So
yeah, you should probably frame one.
Yeah.
That's so cool though. I wish I was you growing up. I wish my mom had tarantulas growing up. That would be so cool. I've always wondered what like if I had children, like what would happen if I had
what they would think. Yeah.
Like are they gonna grow up and are they gonna be okay? Yeah. Because I just eradicating hairs and stuff like that. I just worry.
Yeah.
But that's a good question.
Wow.
Yeah. Does breeding tarantulas reduce their lifespan? I would assume that it does for just about any animal. Basically, if you breed them, they're more likely to have a shorter lifespan. For the males, it does a lot. It shortens it a lot.
Yeah.
Same thing with humans.
I'm just saying sometimes. So, it definitely can reduce their lifespan, in my opinion. But it's one of those relative things. So, like, you get your arboreal tarantulas where males will mature in like 2 years and then they're dead in 3, as opposed to brachypelma stuff that doesn't reach full maturity in 8, 10 plus years or more. And so is that negligible? Probably for a brachypelma species. For a different species, maybe an arboreal thing, maybe a little bit more, but not crazy. I got one more thing I can show you guys if I can remember where the heck I put it. Hold on, let me see if I can find something real quick. I think it's right here. Okay. In this jar right here, this is my first ever advanced tarantula I'd ever kept, the P. regalis female.
Oh,
and she lived for 14 years.
Wow.
But how old is that jar?
Oh boy, 12.
Wow.
Probably something like that. But she was the first advanced species that I kept, like old world arboreal species that I ever kept, and she lived a good long life, and I loved this spider so much. I'm glad that I still have her. She's really cool.
Wow,
How
that's
old were
cool
you when you got it?
Huh?
How old were you when you got it?
Oh, I was like, I don't know, 12,
Oh wow.
somewhere around there. Like, a very young teenager, or like right on the borderline of becoming a teenager. And so, like, I got the.
Oh wow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you really do have spiders all over your arms.
Yeah, my whole arm is all different kinds of.
I want your arm.
Just
all
chop it off.
different kinds.
Yeah. Just give it to me.
Got a little recluse tattoo.
Nice.
I got a male Latrodectus on the back there. Got an Emperor Scorpion on here. The
Scorpion.
skeleton leg.
Love it.
Yeah.
Scorpions are dope. I have two. I have 2 Asian forests.
I don't have any scorpions right now. I would like to maybe get some, but there's one species I would really like to get, but they really need like specialized environments for you to keep them. The Hottentotta Franz Werneri. They're like a black and yellow scorpion, but they're like really toxic, and they need really hot enclosures, and I really don't want to modify an enclosure to make it really hot, so I'm probably not going to keep those. And
Rob,
then
sorry, do you have the brown recluse spider book by Richard Vedder?
I don't know, and I don't think I've ever seen a wild brown recluse spider. Like I'm from New England, so they don't really exist there.
Yeah, we don't see them.
North Carolina, there's like the western part of the state sometimes gets them, but out where I'm at, you don't really get them. But I got the brown recluse tattoo so that I get so many people who are like, I saw a brown recluse in my house, and I'm like, did it have the violin? Did it look just like this? Did it look like that? No, it was not a brown recluse.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody thinks everything's a brown recluse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or they say they got bit by a brown recluse. No, you didn't.
No, you did not.
Yeah.
Bit by a
Staph
spider.
infection. Sorry.
Yeah.
Take them out. Yeah. Yeah. I've Latrodectus is another thing that I have not really kept. I think I've had them a little while, but like black widows in particular are not super interesting to me. They're kind of cool, but I've never been as drawn to the true spiders as I have been to the tarantulas. But like it's really cool to like widows make a very distinctive web. And so when you are out, like when I'm out herping, it's easy for me to be like, oh, there's a black widow right over there, because the way that they lay out their webs is very easy to see from like a distance. And so like when I lived in Massachusetts, I used to see like 20 or 30 black widows in a day. I'd be like walking through the woods and be like, oh, there's one there, there's one there, there's one over there, there's one over there. And it's just like, once you learn kind of where they like to hang out and what type of webs that they make, they're like super easy to find, as opposed to like some of the other species where it's like just random if you end up finding one or not.
That's cool.
Oh, did my screen freeze? No, did it? Oh.
No, I think the it's just on Rob right now. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
But that's cool. I definitely love my spiders. They're so cool.
Yeah. I enjoyed keeping true spiders because it's very entertaining. Like they molt all the time. And so they like every week you're like, oh, you molted again. Oh, you molted again. Oh, you molted again. But then, a year goes by and you're like, oh, you're looking kind of elderly right now. What's going on? And they're like, getting close to the end of their lifespan. It's such a bummer.
Yeah.
That's
agreed.
That's my least favorite thing about true spiders, is that they don't last as long. So it's really hard to let them go. You're like, darn.
Yeah.
Fine.
I've been tempted to get back into the Holconia insignis, or the Holconia species of huntsman spiders. There's this guy Nick Kruger who has bred them. That's where I originally got mine from. And then he breeds a lot of stuff, and he's got, I don't know where he sources his stuff from, but he gets some cool stuff. And so
he always
he had posted that he was potentially having an egg sex soon, and I was like, yo, I need some of those. Like, what do I got to do? And he's like, well, just keep an eye out. And I was like, come on, man. I'll get some of those things, but
hook me up.
Yeah, I just don't want them when they're little itty bitty. I hate getting things when it's super small. I'm like,
you're scared to die.
I'm gonna squish it accidentally. That's what's gonna fucking happen. I'm gonna feel bad. I need it to be at least like a half inch. Once it's a half inch, I can deal with it. But man,
you gotta use your paintbrushes.
No, I'm not
You
doing
don't use your
it.
paintbrushes?
I honestly I use chopsticks most of the time for
Oh, okay, so
everything.
that makes sense. I
Yeah.
always use a little paintbrush.
Yeah.
But I've seen people rehouse like little tiny spiders with like really heavy stuff like metal. And I'm like, you're like
Yikes.
tearing its leg off.
Yep.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's. I would like to get. Have you guys ever kept the Eresis spiders?
I want
The
it.
ladybird spiders or
The
whatever they're called.
velvets.
The
Yeah,
velvet
velvet spiders.
No,
Tom
but
has
I
a
do know
lot.
I do have friends that have them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
I
enjoy
got
them.
some of the wild carneri. Those are pretty cool. And then I was looking to get some of the other species because I like the little bit more color and pattern to some of the other ones. But those are really cool. I'm surprised that there's not more people who are interested in keeping those. Or I guess people are interested in keeping them. They're just not as available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're usually like $80.
Mm-hmm.
And then plus the $50 shipping.
Yeah.
The Stephagyphis right now, a lot of people are keeping them communal, but they're not. They're not a communal. Well, ish, but no, not really. So Tom Patterson he's breeding some Stephagyphis and some Ulysses and Walkenary. But once it hits like on the page where he's like, all right, they're out for sale. I can
They're
never get
gone.
them.
Yeah.
Like, Tom, save me one.
I know.
That's like the I really would like to get, and I've tried to keep these before, but I've done it like maybe 2 or 3 times where I've gotten them, and I just can never get them to reach maturity. The Cosmos Rite, I love those things. Those are like the coolest dwarf little thing, and I love them. But that's another one where like no one has them anymore. You get the Cosmos elegans, people have those, and then the Letzi or whatever, Leettzi, those ones people have, but the Rite hardly ever I see them available. So
Yeah, Liz, she's in the she's watching this video. She has a Cercosmos Rite male. He's gorgeous.
that is like they're so cool. Like I don't know, a lot of that stuff does not get as much love as it really should.
Yes, see, there she is.
Oh,
Yeah, she also has the C elegans too. I want one of those so bad. I don't even have one of those yet.
mm.
She has a nice collection.
She does. She has lots of spiders. I've been able to go to her house and see all of her spiders. It's cool because she has like a lot of ones that I don't, and it's nice to see like all of like the big spiders she has because you know like I mostly have like a lot of mine are still slings because I buy a lot of mine as babies, but she's got like full grown adults over there.
Yeah. Hell yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I've not owned peacock spiders. I'm guessing that you're talking about the Australian jumpers, like peacock jumpers.
Yeah, they don't
I
have
don't
them.
I don't think those would come to the U.S.
No.
Yeah.
No, they'll probably gatekeep those for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
Whatever. Honestly, like that's another one where like it's this big. I really don't care. Like the people are really hyped about the T. Celedonia, and I was like, oh man, those are pretty. And then I found out that they like get like this big, and I'm like, man, not interested anymore.
And
anything that's like really small like that, I'm like, I'm gonna accidentally squish this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Paying $600 for a trapdoor, tiny little thing.
Yeah, it's like, you know, an eighth of an inch, a tenth of an inch, and then you hope that it has good molts until it gets big enough where you can actually see the color on it. It's like, nah, I'm all set.
Yeah.
I love watching that.
Yeah.
I love the transition because, like, you know, I have like a Carabiner Versicolor right now, and I cannot wait for it to go from blue to red. Or I've had my Chromatopelma Cyanopubescens, my green bottle blue, since it was a little sling, like literally just tiny, and the color change from sling to adult was cool. Because like I still have all the bolts from in between, so you can see like the change.
Have you seen that species of, I don't know if they're like pseudo tarantulas or something. I think Tom Patterson posted a picture of one recently, but the mature females look like the juvenile green bottle blues, where the carapace pattern is like, it's like black and orange. I really want to get one of those things, but man, they popped up a while ago and they're like $200, and I was like, I'm not spending $200 on a spider.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Isn't that similar to the green bottle blue tarantula? Is it like the same genus?
I don't think it's the same genus. It used to be species Columbia back when
Oh,
something
oh,
species Columbia, but
Oh,
I don't remember what it is anymore.
are you talking about the pumpkin patches?
No, it's a different
no.
one.
It still has like the pattern of the sling of like the
Oh,
chromosome of pubescence, but it's an adult, right?
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
is it Papilopus?
Ooh,
No, it's something tedious.
yeah.
Huh. I gotta look at Tom's page now.
Well, right.
So there is Haplous species Columbia is not the one that I was talking about, but those are cool. I've kept those
Oh,
too. It's different than that.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's like a
Razu.
green. It's like a green bottle blue, but it's got like the
What's
sling
wrong with you,
stages.
okay? Razu, don't scare me.
This guy right here, he did Davis species Chiapas.
Oh,
But
wow.
Yes, there it
it's an
is.
adult tarantula that has the same like
Pattern as the
coloration and pattern
GBB.
as a green bottle blue juvenile.
Yes.
I like those. Those are cool as hell. I was like, man, if green bottle blues just kept this patterning, and then it's like, oh, there is a tarantula that looks
Yeah.
just like that. So cool.
Yeah.
How much you want to bet it's sold out by tonight? Done.
Oh, he posted that 4 days ago. They're already
Oh,
ready
yeah,
to
that's sold
out.
out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They've been sold out.
I gotta message him later. Tom, save me one.
Yeah.
I'm
you might
afraid to know
wanna
how
get
much
it.
they are because I bet you that they're $200 or $250 or something.
Oh yeah. Those ones are like hard to find. Anything hard to find or isn't in an abundance in the hobby and captivity,
Mm-hmm.
it's always going to be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But did you guys have anything else you guys wanted to talk about? If not, I did want to conclude the podcast. You guys good with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we covered a good amount of stuff tonight. Thanks everybody for hanging out and talking spiders with us. It was fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you so much, Rob, for being a guest on our show tonight, and Arachnid Cat for being my co-host.
Pleasure.
I had a great time, and I'm so glad that we were able to do this. Hold on, I got a cough. Sorry. It's really dry in here. But thank you guys to everybody that's watching, and thank you so much to all of our sponsors, and thank you to everybody that has been and does tune into the Spider Sense podcast every week. Thank you guys so much for your support. It does not go unnoticed. So thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, friends, frogs, lizards, snakes, and spiders are your friends. Let's make a better world for them. Thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed week. Oh,
In the web of knowledge we spin all day, talking spiders every week they don't play. From the tarantula to the tiny mite, 8 legs of wisdom bringing truth to light. On the spider sense they break down the fear, creepy crawly legends are getting clear for the love of science spreading.